First, I had a dream about communistic control in America. I was able to move around and try to warn people, but nobody was listening. People were not listening. And then me and an evangelist and a prophet were talking back and forth, and I was weeping and saying, Jesus is coming. We were all confirming it together. And then this happened. I decided to look up The Last Evangelist because he was in my dream. I hadn't seen his videos in about 2 years, and I came across this just like my dream.
Another time, they would just show up taking pictures of our women and children, pretty much the Nazi style, communist, socialist style of intimidation, taking pictures, putting pressure. In other words, saying, hey, we got you and tickets are coming. But this, however, was the first time that the authorities dared to enter the church building, which was illegal. So, in the name of the law, they're coming to enforce $100 fine, which is a bylaw infraction, and at the same time they're breaking two criminal laws, interfering with the clergyman while he's conducting his duty, and with the church service, which is 5 years jail time. So they totally broke the law. That's why I knew that they have nothing to stand on. They are breaking the law in the name of the law. And the only thing I had in my heart, it was get out. I was not interested in talking to them. And now it makes sense. They were conditioning the Western civilization about what's coming. You see people with a muzzle, then you're not so shocked when the government tells you to put the muzzle as well. Other people are wearing it. So have to wear it. It's not a big deal. But growing up in Poland, there is a huge benefit to me growing up behind the Iron Curtain under the dictatorship of the Russians, communism, socialism. I saw the destruction. I call it living in hell, if you will, under the communism is absolutely unbelievable. It's shocking. It's sad. 50,000 communist people were ruling over 36 Polish people, and with a total hand of slavery. There were 50,000 masters, the rest of the society were slaves. I witnessed that with my own eyes, the destruction of my beautiful country, the horror of depression. That's why Polish people were drinking so much, because you had absolutely no hope. Hopelessness was everywhere. There were no colors in the land. It was just everything was like a dark shadow. But
Uh-huh.
I also witnessed 1981. And if you know your history, you know that in 1981, Poland was the first country after many decades that rose up with a movement called Solidarity with Lech Wałęsa. Solidarity was the movement when people came together, working people, and they said to the government, we will not comply. We will not work for you anymore. We will not obey your orders. And they took it to the streets. 1981, millions of Poles took it to the streets. Some were arrested. Actually, tens of thousands were arrested. Some were shot to death. I saw tanks, machine guns, soldiers. It was a horrible thing to see. However, 1982 came and Polish people won their freedom. And now Poland is one of the best democracies on the planet Earth because some people were willing to stand up and fight,
Mhm.
especially for us, because my grandparents were telling me stories about the Nazis, the SS. My grandma had to hide under the mattress, and on top was an officer raping another girl. I've heard the stories of Germans shooting people, murdering. Every year I go to Auschwitz-Birkenau, the biggest concentration camp on the planet Earth, built by the Nazis, just to remind myself about what a man is capable of if you don't put a check in their authority and their power. So you're talking to a guy that grew up in hell. I have seen what communism is doing and did to my country, my family. Also heard the stories from my grandparents, what Nazis did to my country and my family. And now here I am in so-called free and democratic country, Canada, facing exactly, and I mean, I'm not exaggerating, exactly the same tactics. Mainstream media lying. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I want to ask you, are you, correct me if I'm wrong, are you saying the new Nazi in town is actually led by China? Is the communism, is that, are they the head of the party? I understand it's Satan behind it all, but do you see it coming through China?
I actually truly believe that Chinese are behind this. They have been trying to take over the Western civilization for a while, and they just are trying a different approach. Instead of invading with guns and tanks and planes a country, they've decided to infiltrate the country and buy themselves in. It's all about money. If you're looking at the president of Belarus, he was offered $1 billion to implement all those restrictions. When you start to talk, because I am very heavily involved in politics. My friends were, in high places. I hang around with ministers and members of parliament, and I have met many times the prime minister, and so I hear, I see what's going on, and I'm telling you, our politicians were bought.
Mm,
Someone bribed them, and someone is blackmailing some of them. And I'm
mm.
not saying this lightly. I believe they were bought. Some that would not sell their people, they were blackmailed. So you have a nation of politicians right now that are either traitors, turncoats, and they should be charged with treason, or they've done terrible things and now they have something on them and they are being blackmailed and paid at the same time. I truly believe that's how it's being played. And the only people that actually have that kind of amount of money globally, it must be a Chinese government with an assistant of few other families like um, Bill Gates and Rothschilds and all those devils walking
Right,
around.
right.
So
Pastor,
Then we find out he gets arrested like this. This is Canada, you guys. And now all these bombings and stuff in Israel. Bible prophecy. Then I kept seeing 22, and it led me to this. Now we have a rule: either get vaccinated or get masked. This reminds me of my dream. Same day, I painted the bride, and I knew in my spirit the bride was ready. This was not a futuristic thing of the bride was going to be ready, but the bride has made herself ready. Those who are under the Lord's protection and sealed with the Lord, we are ready, and He is coming. Then my cousin on the same day shared with me her dream. I shared this in a previous video, and you can look at it there. But it literally goes with a message I put out there on YouTube on that same day, and it goes with the dream. So our dreams are lining up with each other, and I am shouting even louder, and I will continue to do so. Jesus is coming. He is coming. We don't have years. He is coming. This is the fig tree generation. A fig tree generation is 70 to 80 years. Now, one thing I want to note is, just like my cousin's dream, some things stuck out to me that were similar, which was the word quickly. Things changed quickly in her dream as they did in my dream. I advise you, please go watch my dream if you haven't, where it talks about, the title is like, America changes quickly, a quick change. And that's where people were wearing masks, and there was a communistic control. It was literally in my spirit, communistic control. Okay, not socialism, not dictatorship, but communistic control in America.